Hey, fifth grade. It's me, Miss Conley again. Here I am. I'm back. And today we are going to talk about, we're still in Unit 1, Week 1, and now we're going to do a read aloud. And with this read aloud, we're going to concentrate on the skill of rereading. So I know you're like, rereading. I'm not going to read it again. I know all the answers. I know you do. But I promise you, if you reread it, you'll find all the answers to all of the questions in the text, and you'll get 100% on everything you got. So, just go back and reread it. You won't have to reread the whole thing. Rereading isn't about reading the whole story all over again. It's about reading the question and then going back to where you remember hearing that part of the question and finding the answer there. So you're not rereading the whole story. You're only rereading like bits and pieces in a paragraph here and there. So it's not that much, I promise. Okay? So today we are going to read and then reread parts of, let me share my screen. Banks are banks. They're business and yours. So we're going to find out, what do banks help us do? For the most part, we know what banks do. They help keep our money safe, right? But there's a few other things that they can do to help, and we're going to find that out along with our skill of rereading. So we're really going to concentrate on that. So let me make one page smaller. While I do that, since this story is about banks, see right here, it says expository text. So an expository text is a true story that tells you or explains something. So this story is a true story about banks, and it's going to be explaining what they do and how they help you. Okay? So follow along with me. I'm going to get started. Have you ever tried to save your money to buy something special? You may have used a piggy bank to help keep your money safe. Every time you place some coins or dollar bills into the slot at the top of your piggy bank, you are helping your savings grow. Did you know that there is another kind of bank that can help you save money? Your community probably has one of these banks. Banks help people keep their money safe, build their savings. They're also the place where people can go to borrow money in times of need. So that's a pretty good overview about what banks do. And like I said, we probably knew that already, right? So now we're going to move on to this page that says, I'm sorry here, hold on. This is just not cooperating. There we go. What is a bank exactly? So what is it? And this is where we're going to have to be rereading. So but first, here's our question. So get ready for your question. You're also going to possibly need a piece of paper and a pencil. So before we get too far into this, stop the video, pause it, get a piece of paper, get a pencil, get a pen, get something to write with and to write on. I'll wait. Go ahead and hit pause. Okay, everybody's back. Okay, good. I'm glad you got your paper and your pencil. I'm sorry I didn't say that at the beginning of class. Okay, so the question we are searching for. Why is a bank a business, and how do you know? So let's keep that question in mind while we're reading this page, so when we reread it, we know exactly where to go back to. What is a bank? A bank is a business, but instead of making or selling things like computers, clothing, or cars, a bank provides services that involve money. Two basic services that a bank provides are savings accounts and loans. Savings accounts help people save money for things they might need in the future, such as paying for college. Putting money into a savings account is like saving money in a piggy bank, but when you put money into a savings account, the bank pays you extra money called interest. The interest is a reward for keeping your money in the bank. It also helps your savings grow. Why does the bank reward you for keeping money in a savings account? The bank uses your savings and the savings of other customers to be able to offer people loans. Banks provide loans for many different purposes. Some people get loans from a bank to help pay for things they need, such as homes, cars, or a college education. Other people want to build a small business, such as a store or a farm. but their funds are scarce. Scarce means they don't have a lot of it. So they go to a bank to borrow the money. When the bank lends money, it isn't taking your savings. It's just using your money for a certain period of time. Anytime you need your money, it's always available to you. Fun fact: banks aren't just for people or businesses. Countries use them too. Many foreign governments keep gold bars in a vault at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. Governments make payments by having gold bars moved between compartments. Okay, so let's make that a little bit smaller here. Now, let's refer back to our question. Why is a bank a business? And how is it a business? So let's concentrate on number one. Why is a bank a business? Now that's probably going to be towards the top of our page because it's the very first question, right? So I'm going to make this a little bit bigger for you. We need to find out why a bank is a business. Pause the video, write down your answer, make sure you use a complete sentence. So restate the question: a bank is a business because, so ... right? So pause the video. When you're done, unpause the video and we'll talk about the answer. Okay, so a bank is a business. Now, if we go back and reread, we can see that it says right here, a bank is a business. But instead of making or selling things like computers, clothing, or cars, a bank provides services that involve money. So that's your answer right there. A bank is a business because it provides services that involve money. So if you don't have that answer, go ahead and write that down. A bank is a business because it provides services that involve money. Okay, now the next part of the question, how is it a business? So this is, we already talked about it provides services, but now how? What services does it provide? So we're going to answer that question next. So your sentence starter should be, a bank is a business because it provides services like, and then you put your answers down. What services does it provide? Okay, so we're going to go down to this next couple paragraphs because we already did that top part. Ooh, it keeps doing that. Thanks for being patient, guys. So now pause the video again and find out what services the bank does. When you're ready with the services a bank provides, you can go ahead and unpause your video and we'll talk about the answer. Okay, so how is a bank a business? What services does it provide? Now, if we go back into the passage, we can see the answers. So let's do our sentence starter. A bank is a business because it provides services like savings accounts and loans. Those are two basic services. It says it right here at the bottom of the first paragraph. Two basic services, savings accounts and loans. That's also correct. So let's write that down. A bank is a service because it provides, a bank is a business because it provides services like savings accounts and loans. Now we need to take that just a step further. Why do people need savings accounts and loans? So how a bank is a business because it provides basic services like savings accounts and loans that, and down here in the second paragraph, that help people save money for things they need in the future, such as college. It also talked about paying for cars and homes, so we can add that in there too. So go ahead and finish up your answer. Good job, everybody. And see, rereading isn't that hard. We didn't have to reread the whole thing. We only had to reread those first two paragraphs. And as I told you, all the answers are in there. They'll always be in the text, I promise. Okay, we're going to go on to the next page. Everybody ready? Let's read this together. The business of banking. Even though a bank does not make or sell things, it is still a business. A bank can make a profit on the services it offers. How does a bank do this? One way a bank makes money is by lending money. Remember that a bank uses your savings to make loans. The bank pays you interest on savings. When the bank loans this money, the person who borrows it must pay interest to the bank. To make a profit, the bank charges borrowers more interest than it pays to savers. Banks figure out using percent. Here's how it works. Suppose the bank pays 2% interest on your savings. That means that the bank will pay you 2 cents for every dollar in your account every year. So if you keep $100 in your savings account, you will earn $2 in interest by the end of the year. Banks make money, but you also make money too. Okay, let's pause our video. So how do banks make money? That is our question. Pause your video, write down your answer, and we'll come back and talk about it. How do banks make money? Okay, how do banks make money? Now, if we go back and reread paragraphs 2 and paragraphs 3, we will find that answer. So at the end of paragraph 2, it says to make a profit, the bank charges borrowers more interest than it pays to its savers. So that is how banks make money. It charges the borrowers more interest than it pays out. We're going to move on to the next page. Good job, everybody. Okay, now how do banks help us? On this page, our question that we're looking for is we are looking for 3 examples that tell how a bank can help a community. Okay? So how can banks help communities? That is what you're thinking about while we're reading this together. 3 examples of that. How do banks help us? Think about what life would be like without banks. You might still find a safe place to keep your money, but your money wouldn't earn interest. Your savings won't grow as quickly. Without banks, you still might be able to get a loan, but it would be much harder to find one. Suppose you wanted a loan to buy a home or start a business. You would have to find a person or a business willing to give you the money. This process would result in many fewer loans, and people would have a harder time meeting their needs and building business. Thanks to banks, people have a place where they can go no matter where you live. Banks are an important part of the community. They've helped many people buy homes, start businesses, get a college education. They have helped people meet their needs and change their lives. Okay. So the question we are trying to answer, 3 examples about how a bank can affect, which means to help or to not help. Affect means it changes things. How does a bank affect a community? Find 3 examples of that. Pause the video now. We'll come back and talk about it. Okay, so how do banks affect communities? I remember they were talking about this in like the second paragraph, I believe. Because we're talking about communities, not just people, right? So we got to think of the bigger picture here, communities. Okay, and then at the bottom of paragraph 2, it says, this process will result in fewer loans and people would have a harder time meeting their needs and building businesses. So banks affect communities by helping out businesses. There's more businesses because there's banks. Like a lot of small businesses that we go to, a lot of like people like, us that own it, like Mr. Patterson has his own business, right? He has a barbershop. So without a bank to get a loan for the barbershop, you probably would not have that barbershop. And then that community wouldn't have anywhere to go, right? So that's how it's helping businesses. So that's one way. They build businesses. Now we need 2 more examples. How do banks help communities? Now I also remember it talked about that down in the 3rd paragraph. It says, no matter where you live, banks are an important part of the community. They help people buy homes, start businesses, and get an education. They help people meet their needs and change their lives. That's the answer right there. So they help build businesses, they help people meet their needs and change their lives. 3 ways businesses affect the community. If you don't have that answer, go ahead and write that down. Okay, good job, everybody. And that is our, we got to read this little fun fact before we leave. Fun fact, the Federal Reserve Bank System, or the Fed, is a bank for other banks and a bank for the federal government. So the banks also help the government too by keeping their money safe. Remember they talked about the gold bars? Okay. So everybody, rereading is not that difficult. We didn't reread a whole lot. We only read little excerpts from the pages, a couple sentences, a couple paragraphs. But the key is you got to look over the questions first, know what you're looking for, and go back into the passage, read the passage. And while you're thinking about what you're looking for, you already know where it is in the story when you go to answer the questions. So good job today, everybody. I will see you all later. Have a great night. Stay safe and healthy. Bye, everyone.